everyone else who's coming up here tonight is going to talk about their reflections, but I haven't had enough time to have any reflections yet. I arrived in August, I started in September. So I thought today I would just talk about sort of who I am, and then kind of the area where I'm hoping to go in the next little while. It has nothing to do with precision medicine. So this is kind of a different track, but my first thing is I just learned from my students how to use Prezi, so I was really excited. This is my first attempt. So anyways, yeah, so my background here, I did do my master's in community rehab and disability studies, and then I did my PhD at York in critical disability studies. So my background is mostly all in disability. Oh look, and see, I was saying to my people here at 1:30 a.m., this seemed really hilarious to me, me traveling around the world with my thumb up in my little grad hat, but it's not as funny now, but anyway. Most recently, I was teaching at Douglas College in the Community and Disability Studies department, where I did some stuff on disability studies and also on employment supports for people with disabilities. And I was also working at UVic on a project called Remarkable Lives, and this sort of idea of patient information and patient voices is sort of speaks to me on that front, because what we were working on there was creating an online resource for people with disabilities to share their stories, and through that information to be able to sort of share support strategies, system navigation, and really sort of experiential learning. So that's kind of where I came from. And the other thing is that I've also kind of got an interesting background in terms of I worked through most of this, and I worked in employment services, in disability employment services, so with both the Workers' Compensation Board and also in not-for-profit. So where this takes me is to my sort of discussion of critical disability studies in the undergraduate classroom, because I think that we have a sort of strong idea of developing professionals and training professionals, but that this sort of real focus on the critical aspect of disability studies, I feel really passionate about bringing more into the undergraduate classroom. So I'm an instructor, so my sort of role looks a little bit different than the traditional research role. So I spend most of my time teaching online and in the classroom. And like I said, I'd really like to bring the focus of critical disability studies into my teaching more. So disability studies really looks at the politics of disability, human rights, and understandings of sort of barriers and the treatment of people with disabilities. And I feel like it's a fairly new discipline still, and sort of in its infancy, it was really criticized for being too strongly embedded in activism. And I feel like there's been this sort of reactionary shift to really sort of esoteric or kind of academic thinking in that, and that we haven't sort of struck a balance. And I feel like that sort of leaves a gap in undergraduate education. So we've got sort of this activist voice, and then we have this very theoretical voice that's sort of more focused in graduate studies, and that it kind of just leaves a gap. And I think especially in terms of producing practitioners out in the workforce, that it's really important to focus on that sort of critical capacity as well. So I actually spent most of my day today at a workshop about finding some funding on how to do this, so hopefully that goes well. I think that students really have a limited opportunity to develop those critical skills, and that's on a level that's appropriate for them. So in my sort of 5 minutes here, which is probably already done, I'm really looking to sort of work towards creating and building on what's already going on with our team, but to sort of continue to develop this work and really develop some strategies and tools to help students develop those critical capacities throughout their undergraduate education. So both in terms of maybe reworking some of the materials in more appropriate, or more sort of level appropriate, that's probably the wrong word to use, but ways so that, you know, first year students can start to use critical concepts and to think about disability, especially in those terms, and sort of taking ideas of, you know, materialist critiques or critical race theory or critical legal theory or feminist disability studies, and really sort of trying to develop ways that those can be put forth in a language that's understandable at different levels of undergrad education. So that's me, and I hope you guys will come and visit me and want to do things with me so we can work this through together. So.